Overtime with Joe Parker provides a comprehensive look into high school sports in North Atlanta. Tune in each week for prep sports headlines and in-depth discussions with local players and coaches.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Overtime with Joe Parker. Today, we're going to be discussing cross country, and we have on the show today Milton coach Andy Carr. Coach, thanks so much for being on. I imagine you've had a few weeks to kind of maybe decompress from the 2018 season.
Yep.
From my perspective, another successful season for Milton cross country.
Yep.
How would you kind of rate this season? What stood out for you?
Well, it was tough to try to match the 2017 season when we had one of the top teams actually in the nation. So we had to kind of get ourselves a little more grounded and look at what we wanted to accomplish more or less on the state level. And it was a very successful season for us. And I think what was great was our main goal was to get both teams on the podium at the state meet, which is the top 4 in our classification. We did achieve that with the girls team, but the guys team just fell just short. But not too bad considering we graduated our top 5 runners from last year, which 4 of them are running competitively at the University of Georgia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And with that heading into this year, obviously you knew you were losing a lot of talent. But did the end result kind of surprise you, or did you see that those next runners up still had that ability to achieve?
Well, we knew the girls team was going to continue to be strong, even though we did lose 4 of our top 5 there too. And with the influx of Nye Hernandez, who transferred in from Creekview High School, her family moved into our district, which was great. So it bolstered us getting back a strong number 1 runner. And so the girls, we expected to be top 3 in that, or top 4, and they did accomplish that. On the boys' side, we knew we were dipping low to get our top, 5th or 6th, 7th, and 8th and 9th runners to be our top guys, and they did that. But kind of some inconsistencies there. Our top 2 or 3 guys ran really well all season. It was a gap to our number 4 runner. Number 4, 5, 6 was pretty big. So when we got to the big meets, we struggled. But in the smaller meets, we definitely did really well. So, and so I would say for the guys' team, they fell just a tad short, but I mean, overall we won a couple meets this year, which was great, and finished on a fairly high note, qualified for state, and we missed the podium by 7 points. I mean, you can't, finishing 6th too, so we're the top 4 get on the podium. So I would say all in all, a little down, but it's a good progress of where the program's been going since I took over in 2004.
Mm-hmm, absolutely, and still, I would say a good finish when you look at the talent and across Class 7A.
Yes, 7A is obviously, I wouldn't say it's definitely the deepest classification in state, just because the schools are bigger and the programs are bigger. Obviously, some of the smaller classifications do have 1 or 2 really good teams, and we got a chance to run against a few of those. But 7A is definitely the deepest, and year after year, the same teams like South Forsyth and like Marietta and Lambert and West Forsyth are always the teams that tend to be the ones to beat. And what's great for us is we're in probably the toughest region in the state in terms of top teams at the state meet. So this year, I guess on the boys' side, are all of our 6 teams that qualify from our area, all of them finished in the top 10 in the state meet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Coach, it's probably obvious to anyone who knows my figure, so to speak, that I'm not really experienced in cross country running. So from my perspective, I want to get your take on kind of how do you coach a runner? What's the day in and day out of actually doing coaching someone that maybe from the outside perspective is, it's maybe all about speed from an outsider's perspective.
Well, in our program, we're the largest sports program at Milton High School, and we pride ourselves in being able to take everybody in who wants to run and wants to be part of our team. And success breeds popularity, and so kids want to be on a team that's successful and it's fun and they enjoy it. So that's been kind of our biggest issue. Actually, is our team has gotten so big that this year we had to cut people. So, and we didn't want to do that, but we just physically couldn't either handle the workouts or had the space available to make it safe for the kids to run. So with that being said, we definitely have runners of all abilities, from your state champions to your people who are just starting to do the sport for the first time. And it's great in the sense that we try to make a point of having all the runners do the same workouts at the same time and most of them together. And a lot of coaches say, well, you're sacrificing spending time with your top kids. I go, well, no, not really, because you're actually in terms of development, you're developing runners because you're actually getting to practice with the faster people and seeing what they have to do and how far behind they may be in terms of trying to develop themselves as a good runner. So on a day in and day out basis, all the kids do the same runs and same workouts. Some may be a little shorter, maybe they'll do maybe a fewer repeats, but they actually do the same thing every day. So they get an idea, a sense of where they rank on the team, and they get a sense of what it takes to be a good runner. Also, the good runners get a sense of what it's like to come from being a person who's never run before or is coming from another sport who running is their punishment, sort of say, right? So they actually want to find out, how is that transition working and how do you make a baseball player, which was our number 4 runner last year, a full-time baseball player, to our number 4 runner now is running at the University of Georgia. So and seeing that transition happen too is exciting even for the top people. So they're getting an athlete and they're getting an athlete that actually thought running was horrible and now they actually like it. So I would say day in and day out, we're all together. It doesn't matter the ability level or experience level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good. And you touched on something I've seen. The team out there, driving through, and it's never ending. It seems almost
very true.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, with that, I've also, I have heard that Milton's actual course at the school is pretty challenging.
Yes.
Does that kind of provide a boon for your runners to?
Yes. Many teams have to leave campus or leave their school area to practice, where we're very lucky where we don't have to do that. We built a course while the new Milton High School was being built in 2004 and 2005, and we're appreciative of the administration for letting us be the ones who actually take care of it. We fund it ourselves. We don't get any school funding to do the maintenance of the course. With that being said, you put a course on basically rolling hills, through some trees and stuff, and you get a very difficult course. But we pride ourselves in it being the most difficult. And we've had the national online media of like Mile Split and Flow Track has said, yes, you guys probably have one of the hardest courses in the United States based on the ability level of the runners you have and what times they've run there in competitive meets. So, but what's also great about the course is it gets you prepared for every different meet we go to somewhere else. So let's say the course has a lot of crushed stone. Well, we have crushed stone paths on our course where we can do workouts specifically for that course. Let's say the course has a lot of grass in it. Well, we can go over to Northwestern Middle School and we can train over there on their grass fields and use that area. And a lot of thanks there it goes to Tim Godby for getting a lot of the turf redone for their lacrosse teams, because now we have a really nice place to run on the grass. So, and if it's trails we need and single track, we have that too, through the woods that are right next to the school cafeteria. So, and we have hills, we've got flat, you name it. So yes, it's definitely beneficial. But a lot of people also ask, don't you get bored of running there all the time? I go, well, of course we do. Distance runners do like to run a lot, but they also like to have some variety, right? So on Mondays and Wednesdays, we do let the kids go off campus to do their longer runs, because it just kind of breaks the monotony and they can actually get in a good rhythm and run for a long time at the same pace. Whereas if you run on our course, you're constantly going up, down, through trees, whatever. So,
you touched on the runners that you have at the collegiate level.
Yes.
With say Sam Bowers, for instance, you have a state champion in there. Are you still keeping up with everybody?
Yes. That's this fall. I made a point of that. I wanted to take some time to go see some of the alums run at collegiate meets, and so I kind of went off a little bit on the deep end on that. So earlier in the fall, I went up to Western Carolina to see Furman cross-country team run, and Riley Burr, who graduated in 2016. She was state champion in the 16 and the 8 her senior year. She's their number 4 runner for a team that qualified for nationals this year. So I got to see her run her conference meet And then I actually went to the national championship meet 2 weeks ago in Madison, Wisconsin, to see Furman run. And on top of that, staying on the girls' side first, Amy Ruiz, who graduated from Milton in 2015, she's the number 1 or number 2 runner at Georgia Tech right now. So their cross-country team had a great year. I saw them make the national meet at the regional meet at Florida State, and got to see her run at the national championship meet too, which was great. Also at the regional meet, I got to see Sam Bowers run, and unfortunately not a spectacular race there, but he's running well. He's either their number 1 or number 2 guy on their cross-country team now. So along with Nicholas Yannick, they had to redshirt him. He had a little knee issue this year, but I've definitely stayed in touch with all my alums, especially the last 4 years that are running in college. I've got a couple guys running Division III level 2. I've got a guy at Barry who runs, Andy Butzo, and I got a guy at Piedmont College, Joey Brovant. So past captains who have taken running up, even though they know they can't run a Division I level, they're running at the next level. And that's kind of in my heart, that's my goal, is to get as many people to the next level to enjoy running for whatever reason they want to enjoy running. Yes, I love the competitive atmosphere, but I also want them to be runners for life, because the sport's been very good to me. I've been a runner since I was 11 and still continue to run. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, you actually touched on my next question.
Yes.
was can you talk a little bit about what got you into running, and then as we progress, what got you into coaching?
Okay, so it goes back a long time ago when I was in elementary school. I wasn't really good at any sports, but then found out I was actually kind of decent runner. We used to have a little Olympics in my neighborhood, and the only event I ever could win was the quote-unquote marathon. And the marathon was a run around the block. But I couldn't run. I couldn't jump very far. I couldn't sprint. But that was the only one I ran. I could win. So I said, maybe I need to try out this long-distance running thing. So middle school, I joined the cross-country team middle school. Really liked it. And then got to high school and obviously really enjoyed it. I wasn't one of our top runners on our team, but I was so into the sport and in the history of it. And some of it came from watching the 1972 Olympics when Frank Shorter won the gold medal for the United States. And I go, that's it. This is cool. It's, countries and flags and geography. I was into that too. So it kind of all went together. So after high school, I wasn't offered any scholarships or anything, but I went small school. So I went to Roanoke College in Roanoke, Virginia, which was Division III school. And what was great about that is I got to run on a team. I was pretty strong on the team, anywhere from the 5th guy to the 7th guy. And I got to run into NCAA championships in Division III when I was in college. And I got to travel the whole East Coast, which was great. So what a college experience to be able to do that, even though I wasn't a really top runner like the guys that are, some of the people I've coached now. So then after that, I continued to road race. After that, of course, I wanted to run Boston Marathon. That was a big goal. I qualified. It took me 3 marathons to make it, and then qualified and ran in the 100th Boston Marathon in 1996, which was great. So then I road raced for a few more years, and then, eventually got to the point where I wanted to kind of give back to the sport. And it's given me a lot of good, I've been a healthy life. I've been very lucky, very privileged to go do a lot of things and experience a lot of things. I also went to the University of Oregon for graduate school with a girl who at the time was training for the Olympic trials. So I got to experience that kind of high-level professional running on a side note. And I mean, you talk about being just enjoying a lifestyle. Oh man, that was it. That was the part. So once I eventually got to Atlanta, I volunteered a lot with the Atlanta Track Club, who I currently work for, and they eventually offered me a job in 1999 and of course I took it, and I've been there ever since. And so part of that give back is it's in my field. This is what I do for a living. And I've always wanted to coach, and I've gotten to coach a couple runners at a professional level, individual lady runners, but I've never got a chance to work high school. And that's kind of been my thing. My high school coach really motivated me in the classroom and on the course. And he kind of instilled in me this love for the sport, and that it's a sport, not just for yourself, it's for a lot of other people, but you can hand that down and it's just a lifestyle, and I've, all my friends of that, that's what I do. I have 3 jobs and they're all running related. Mm-hmm. So like I said, I've been at Milton High School since 2004, and I was at the Atlanta Track Club when I got basically a random email from a concerned parent. They were concerned about coaching for their daughter, and I said, well, I can't be involved unless the school lets me be involved. I have to take the community coaching classes and, all that, and I went through all that, and I got brought on by a group of parents who are really passionate about obviously their kids, but they're also passionate about the program at the school. And it was right about when the old Milton was closing and the new Milton was opening, so it was kind of a nice transition that I got to help go develop parts of the course and build it. And it's just been my family. I used to live down near Emory. I was by myself. My girlfriend, Mary Williams, who I got to meet at a track meet volunteering. We moved in together up here, and it's been wonderful. I mean, I can't imagine doing anything else. I've been very happy.
Sounds like, very well-rounded, I guess, so to speak, in the running world.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Well, with that, what kind of drew you to running? I mean, obviously, we talked about how you kind of got into it. Is it the competitiveness? Is it maybe, I know for my mother, who is a runner, it's kind of she calls it her therapeutic time. What kind of appealed to you from maybe those aspects?
Well, first it was, I guess, the competitiveness that I found that I was actually good at something, right? And I'm a kind of a stats geeky type of guy. And so I got into that because running is all about times and places and figuring out scores and records and stuff like that. So I think that kind of drew me to that too. The competitive is first, right? And for the love of the sport. And I think then going into coaching and being able to know I can give back in a sense where I can feel I have some, just some give back to myself for the sport, but also to take my experiences and let the people I work with know what that feels like and how it makes life enjoyable. I mean, obviously there's the health factor involved there. I mean, it's definitely a great lifestyle to live because you tend to, obviously you tend to lose weight and you tend to eat better and you tend to, what I found out with high school kids, you tend to become a better time manager. Because if you're really invested in your running, you know that you have only this amount of time that you can be able to run. And you know that you have to sleep in order to be able to run at a high level. You got to eat at a high level. Well, that all takes time and planning. And then guess what? I only have this much time to do my homework. I got to go to school and then I've got to have somewhat of a social life, right? So it's tough, to being a top level distance runner, you have to make sacrifices because it does take a lot of time because it's not just you go out and run for an hour and you're done. There's all about the diet. There's all about the sleep. And it's all about just your whole general attitude about, hydration and all that kind of thing. So you have to watch what you do too. You can't just, we tell kids right before a big football game on a Friday night, we're like, you can go, but one, don't stand up the whole time, and two, leave at halftime. So we want them to be able to enjoy the high school experience, but part of your experience is you want to compete well at a high level and represent the school well. You have to make some sacrifices, and it's hard for the distance kids. I mean, especially in cross country, and they're like, we have to leave now. It's like, yeah, you got to leave now. You can't stand the whole time and be part of the the Bravehearts that we've got. Some of the best fans ever. So that. Oh my God, I almost forgot the original question. So
it's all good. No worries.
But yeah, just to be motivated to run. First to be competitive, then for yourself, and then for others. I think it shows that you can have a full lifespan development in being involved with the sport, and not just about something for yourself. You can give back too. So,
just kind of a out of left field question, so to speak.
Sure.
But in coaching so many runners, are there any superstitions that they have, and maybe some that stick out for you on race day?
Oh, there are definitely quite many. Some have to braid their hair a certain way. Some have to put their numbers on a certain way. Some have to eat a specific food at a specific time, no matter if the race is at noon or if the race is at 8 a.m. Yes, they have things like that. Some people, and I was real superstitious like this, I always had a certain pair of socks I raced in, right? And they were pink, unfortunately. But actually, and I kept them, and I've actually passed them on to some of the girls on the team for a special race. I'm like, you get to wear the pinks this week, so yeah, there are definitely some superstitions, and I think also with cross country, besides superstitions, there's traditions, and because our sport is sometimes so centered on yourself and how strong you run, the team atmosphere in cross country is a little different than it is like for track. And so traditions and doing things as a group together definitely keeps the season highlighted in the sense that, next week we get to do our relay we always do every year, or this week we get to do scavenger hunt. And, there are some special things to get to be done on a regular basis on a team. And that way teams over the years have that connection. So an alum from 2007 can meet an alum from this year, and they would have run the same BFH workout, which is our Big Fun Hill, right? And they've done the scavenger hunt. They've done the costume contest for a relay, so they can all relate that they've all done the same things, even though they're 15, 20 years apart.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. And Big Fun Hill.
Big Fun Hill.
I'm guessing it's maybe not too much fun.
Actually, it's interesting you say that, because some of the kids on the team would rather sometimes tackle that workout, and we combine it with a big grass hill, which is actually right behind the school. So if you drive behind the gymnasium at Milton, there's a big, huge grass hill that was probably excavated dirt from the building of Milton High School, but it's got nice grass on it now, and we can do some great workouts there because the grass hill mimics the course at the state meet in Carrollton. Has a big grass hill right at the end, and it goes up and down just kind of like ours. And Big Fun Hill is actually right behind it. So on one of our workout days, we run a continuous run of like 45 minutes where they've got to run BFH and they got to do grass hill, and then they got to go around and do continuous loops of that. But a lot of kids actually like that workout better. They like the variety and change in pace versus, our coaching staff taking them over to Northwestern where they have to run 5 times 1,000 meters over this grass loop, and they think that's the hardest thing to do. Mm-hmm. And a grass loop is flat.
Yeah.
So they just think, because I think the intensity is harder, and they have to, and it's almost like you're battling. It's like a race type of atmosphere. They kind of feel that the hill workout is better mentally, because they may be having a good day or a bad day. They still know they got to run uphill. And even if you run up the hill slow or hard, you're still getting the hill workout in, right? So,
yeah, very good. Well, Coach, where do you see, obviously we touched on this earlier, the 2018 season is concluded. Where do you kind of see the future of Milton cross country here in the next few years?
Well, I consider the team and the program very strong, obviously quite popular because we're continuing to get 150 to 200 runners a year. So, depth of development is definitely there. Obviously, in all 4-year sports, great runners come and they go, and people are hard to replace. And it's what you can develop from your junior varsity. And I think with a larger team, you have a strong junior varsity, which allows you to develop kids to be your next top level runners. Will we be a contender? Of course. I think we've got to that level where from like basically 2004 to 2010, we weren't there. And now we've actually finally started to consistently be on the podium every year. And we had our first state championship last year. But I think both in the boys and the girls will be a top level team for years to come. Even if I'm here or not, but with the great coaching staff we have and the experience we have on the staff, it makes it know that we have such great support from the administration and from Fulton County Schools that, is another state championship coming? I'm sure, but I don't know, maybe 10 years, 20 or 2, I don't know. But I've got the people who want to do it and they want to work hard to get it. So future's bright. And we're in a hotbed of cross country in the state. The best teams in the state are all between North Fulton and Forsyth County, and also Cobb County and Gwinnett. I mean, that's pretty much the hotbed of great cross country running is right here. So if we want to keep up with the Joneses, we got to step up. We got to run with them. We're not getting a state meet unless we beat the best people or run with the best people. So, excuse me. So I can't imagine us not being a strong contender for years to come.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And another kind of maybe off the wall question,
sure.
But I've seen you tweet a few things. Say about the 24 hours of Le Mans or Petite Le Mans. And maybe this is just an excuse because I typically don't get to talk with anybody about that.
Cool.
But as far as racing is concerned, does that kind of go along with cross country? It's that competition?
A little bit. I got into automobile racing when I was younger, and that was my dad and I's connection. And he didn't come see me run enough, or in my opinion enough. He could have seen a lot more of me. He's like, okay, I know you're doing that running thing. It's fine. But our thing we got to do together is we were kind of in sports car racing, and he, over one July 4th, we were down at Daytona, and that year they did a sports car race at night before they did the Firecracker 400. So we went at midnight and watched the sports cars, and I go, that's it, I'm hooked. And one of my favorite movies is Le Mans with Steve McQueen, right? And so one thing I started when I first moved to Atlanta is I've been going to the 24 Hours of Daytona every year in January, because January is kind of a down month for cross and for track. It's a little gap, so third weekend in January, I now have a reserve spot in the infield at Daytona, and I go down on a Thursday, and I don't leave till Sunday, and I've got a couple buddies, and and we should do a 5K on the track. They have a 5K road race on the track, but we do that. But it's a fun time in the infield, and I'm big time into Porsches and cars, and it's so I kind of get my fix for that too. So, but yeah, I've been ultimately my goal is to go to Le Mans, and I've never been to France, even though I was in Europe for a few years when I was a kid. It's usually around my birthday weekend, so hopefully maybe one day it'll work out. But yeah, I endurance car racing, kind of like long distance running. I've kind of been into that, and I just love the sport and follow it, and yeah, cars, yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Coach, I think that's about all the questions I had. Like I said, was there anything that you specifically wanted to talk about, maybe that we didn't touch on?
Well, no, I appreciate your coverage and Appen Meetings coverage of our sport. It involves a lot of people up in this part of the state, and it's great that you do cover it. And appreciate this time that you've given me to talk about the sport and talk about Milton High School and go Eagles this weekend. State champs, baby.
Yeah,
we can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Coach, thank you so much for joining us on the show. And as always, you can hear more Overtime with Joe Parker. Just be sure to subscribe. Thanks so much for listening, everyone.
Thank you for listening to Overtime with Joe Parker. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the show, and follow all of Appen Media's sports coverage at northfulton.com.